Hi, I'm Ricky Goh. Welcome to my exhibition on type painting art, something which I've been doing for the last 46 years, since 1973, when I was just tinkering with a typewriter during a school vacation and discovered that I could, produce pictures or portraits. That was my first attempt, though it was really caricatured in the first attempt, but that encouraged me to take it further, and I've never stopped since then, even though I've been taken away from it for the fact that after my national service, I was intending to, my wish was to be able to further myself in art and go for formal training, but it was not, during those period of time, it was not affordable because of the situation of the family. And also, there was no interest in promoting art in the 70s, where Singapore is only looking at how to work more on the economic aspect of building the country. So that took me to the fact that I got to make a living, but fortunately I was able to kind of get into commercial work, which also enabled me to apply my creative ability in anything to do with art, and I got into pottery and began to be able to do designs for pottery product commercially, while keeping type painting as something of my personal, in more a hobby aspect of it. But it never left me, because it is still something which I know I own it, and I want to be able to seriously do something about it. And so I've kept going with it, even though and I know that it is in me, even though it may be, if you look at the dated pieces, you will know that there is a period of time where there's literally no work done on it. But whenever I get back to it, I've never have a problem with doing what I do, but it challenges me to kind of try and do it better. And what I found in how I go about it is that I don't like the typewriter, which is a manual typewriter, restrict me, because there is, if you look at it, there are a lot of restriction and limitation with a mechanical device, which now you can overcome with technology. But then I make do with what I can figure out, and whether limited by the size of the carriage, I could do pieces like in parts and put them together as one large piece using a portable typewriter, or using a slightly bigger typewriter, like to type. And then I get into typing sideways, looking at the picture and inverting it, and so that I can create. I won't be limited by the width of the typewriter carriage. Along the way, I began to literally master the whole keyboard on the typewriter, able to visualize from what I see in front of me or what I'm typing, how I could get the effect with whatever is before me in the keyboard, overlapping letters in order to achieve the desired effect, like a window on a building. I explained to people that you simply have to overlap a capital T over a capital H and do an underline below, and you get the window effect. Or if you are typing curly hair, you could use a pound sign over dollar sign, and it will give you the curly effect of a hair. And so as I go along, literally nothing limits me on what I can do with it. And I'm glad that whatever challenge has given to me with a typewriter, I've more or less overcome it. And I hope I feel that, okay, after so many years, it's time for me to be able to truly be able to use it for what I believe, because since then till now, I could claim that I'm still the first and probably the last to be able to do it at the level or to the extent of what anybody can paint and draw, which means any subject given to me or any subject before me, I can have it type out with a typewriter and overcome whatever limitation or restriction there is, because it's just how I could perceive it, how I could put it together, which is something I've been asked to see, is there any way I can come up with how I could impart it or how I can teach people to do so. But there's something which is very innate in me, which is something that you must be able to read it in your mind, hold the picture, because it's not like when you paint and draw, you have the whole paper or the whole canvas in front of you, and you can see where you're going, whether you're going out of proportion, out of place, but with the typewriter, each time you type your row in, you don't see the picture before you. But after a while, you roll out, you see where you're going. You tell yourself, yes, I'm getting it, and how many more level or step I got to get it going, and I roll it back. And once I roll it back, I must be able to hold the picture in mind and continue. And I think the first person to be amazed when I complete the work is myself, because I also, when I finish the work, I just tell myself, I also feel the fact that how did I get to be able to achieve it, or to be able to do a piece, which is why I tell people I can never go back to doing the same thing again, because and I believe it's something which now what would take me to do any pieces is where I have to be to have that moment in time when I'm very awe-inspired by a subject before me, or by especially in my spiritual aspect of it, is to really be able to feel the presence of God, which is what my latest work, which I'm doing in the city of Prague, a place where I visit quite often for business, that I always spend the weekend absorbing, especially the historical central Prague, where it makes me feel the presence of God, which is the only city. I've traveled to many cities in the world, but it's the only city in the world where I can walk the street of Prague, praise the Lord, shout hallelujah. It's a very natural flow, and I feel the presence of God every step of the way, as if He is walking with me, He's talking with me, and His very presence is always there. And that is a very awe-inspiring moment for me to be able to capture what is before me, and because it's a very heavenly feeling, I must say, and that gives me a lot of inspiration to want to put it down and create what could be looked at as more challenging than trying to type modern buildings and modern city, and that is now an experience which I want to share, because I come to believe that this is a gift by divine appointment, and I think I've really taken it to a level where I want to use it, and I believe I'm challenged to use it now for what I would call His sacred service, and that is to be able to really translate it with a more spiritual angle to it, which I'm already with what I'm given or with what I'm been told, that would you be able to do it if I just give you a scripture to read through 3 verses of the Bible, and from that 3 verses of the Bible, can you translate into? Pastor Daphne has given me that challenge. With the 3 verses that I was given, already I'm beginning to be able to envision what I can do, and it's going to be a new challenge that I'm going to take on, which I believe I'm ready for it, and I want to do it for His glory, because it's something that I realize is very personal between me and God, and I couldn't have done all of it, or all these works even, if it's not something which is, innately in me that God has placed for me to be able to look at things differently, not just from a human perspective, but there's a spiritual perspective to it which I want to bring into my work now, and I hope to seriously be able to begin to do something that is even more amazing than what people are now already quite amazed by what I could translate into a work with a typewriter. And as I said, I don't see any limitation. I've taken it to whatever level I can do in 3 parts to join as one. I can type a panorama of a city, by looking and inverting a picture sideways in my mind and translate onto a canvas. And so I feel that, that is the ultimate of what God has challenged me. And at my age now, I am giving myself the next 5 years to bring it to the level which I think I could still do. And I hope there'll be more to come for all to see, and to expand the glory of God through what He has given me. And I believe very much now that I want to use it as a blessing, as a instrument for the extension of His kingdom, because if you are amazed by what is unimaginable, then you must believe that there's a God. And that God is my God, the creator of all things. And I'm just an instrument for His use. And I want to be to avail myself now that the business side of things, the concern of that aspect is still ongoing, but it's lesser of a demand. And I want to get back to being what I always wanted to be, an artist at heart, an artist in spirit and in truth. And I hope to be able to do that. It's one work which I like to share with all Singaporeans, because this holds a lot in, especially the memories of the older generation, to remember this infamous Hotel New World building disaster, the first in Singapore. This was a work I created the very next day after my night duty as a Red Cross volunteer on site on the 3rd night. And because it was a really what I would call haunting moment when of my 12 hours there on overnight duty, to see what is before me, but yet it was with all the sounds and sights and all the excavating, all the wailing and calling, and yet all it appeared to me was as if it was void of any life, void of any activities on site in that 12 hours. And so I tell myself, after after that experience, the very next morning when I go home, I just couldn't sleep. And I tell myself, the inner artist in me is asking me that I must try and put this into a time in memorial piece for what really happened. So what I did was, at that point in time, I'm still using a portable typewriter, and I decided to do it in 3 parts, which I managed to get it done within that week till the last day of the rescue operation, and be able to put it together as one piece. But before I finish it, I did one thing is to go back to the site on the day after they stopped the rescue operation, or the so-called complete the rescue operation, and they were holding out the place, and I managed to get permission to pick up a handful of earth from the site, which I then rubbed over the work to truly get the essence of what I want to present in this work. And what is important, but this way at that time, important point in time was, this is also the first piece that I managed to do it in parts and put it together as one. And if you go take a closer look, you can see that it is really in 3 parts, based on the width of the portable typewriter carriage.
You want to maybe show us and point gesture a bit to where the place is?
You can see that this is 1, 2, 3. 3 equal parts based on the carriage of the typewriter. And what I did with this work was, from memory of what I see when I'm there, and of course what was reported in the newspaper, which I have managed to keep the whole week of reporting on the incident, and now it becomes an interactive art installation pieces. And not only that, if you know of everybody among the 33 who died at the site, or as a result of the collapse of the building, you will be able to, if you take a closer look with a magnifying glass, you will be able to find the name of all the 33 they typed into the work.
Wow.
They're all in the work.
You want to show maybe just one example that you can see?
Can you see a name?
I think I have to go in. Yeah, the Lee Hub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
They're all over the world. You can see
Wow.
all.
Yes, you can see it, yeah.
So all the 33 people who perished as a result of the disaster are embedded in the work, and so it serves as a good reminder to everybody as to what really happened and how it has become an infamous Hotel New World building collapse or disaster that most Singapore, and especially the younger who may not have any recollections or memory of it, would be able to be enlightened with this work that will give them an idea of what really happened during those period of time. This is considered my masterpiece from the early days in 1976, and I did it in a way that was very challenging, because I couldn't do it on site because of the busy Chinatown road. And so what I did was to spend 4 days, each day an hour across the street looking at it, and then going back and work on it with whatever I can hold in my memory. And within 4 days I completed this, and it's been regarded as my masterpiece, and was selected for an exhibition in 1977 at the National Museum Art Gallery first anniversary exhibition. So this is still to me a early day work that's most challenging that got me, that really got me into telling myself I could do it, I could take it even further.